The Scandalous and Shocking Life of John Connally, 10 Intriguing Facts. John Bowden Connally Jr., an influential figure in American politics, is remembered for his charisma, political acumen, and a life filled with dramatic twists and controversies. Serving as Governor of Texas, Secretary of the Navy, and Secretary of the Treasury, Connally's career was anything but ordinary. Here are 10 of the most scandalous and shocking facts about his life, blending truths and rumors that add layers to his fascinating story. Fact number 1. The day he survived an assassin's bullet. On November 22, 1963, a day etched in the annals of American history, John Connally was seated directly in front of President John F. Kennedy as part of a motorcade through Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. Tragically struck by a bullet that first passed through Kennedy, Connally suffered critical wounds to his chest, wrist, and thigh. Amidst chaos, he was rushed to Parkland Hospital where, despite severe injuries, he remarkably survived. Connally's own recollections of the day included hearing what he believed to be Kennedy's last spoken words, "No, no, no, no. I'm hit." This account fueled ongoing conspiracy theories suggesting Connally might have had foreknowledge or deeper involvement in the assassination plot, a speculation he consistently denied. His miraculous survival made him a key figure in the Warren Commission's investigation, where his testimony did little to quell the public's thirst for answers about that fateful day. Number 2. The scandal of switching political parties. In a move that sent shockwaves through the political landscape, John Connally switched his allegiance from the Democratic to the Republican Party in 1973. This pivotal decision came after a series of high-profile positions under Democratic administrations, including his tenure as governor of Texas. The switch was announced in a press conference where Connally cited ideological shifts in the Democratic Party and a closer alignment with Republican views on economic and foreign policies as reasons for his change. Critics labeled him a turncoat and questioned his integrity, suggesting that the switch was motivated by political opportunism and ambitions for higher political office, possibly even the presidency. This event not only alienated many of his longtime supporters but also made him a symbol of political realignment during a period of intense partisanship in America. The controversy surrounding his switch continues to be discussed as a defining moment in his career and in the broader context of American political dynamics during the 1970s. Number 3. Allegations of bribery and the milk fund scandal. In 1974, John Connally faced one of the most serious accusations of his career, the milk fund scandal. He was charged with accepting a $10,000 bribe from the Associated Milk Producers Incorporated, AMPI, a powerful dairy cooperative, allegedly in exchange for using his influence as Secretary of the Treasury under President Nixon to increase federal milk price supports. This adjustment was purported to benefit dairy farmers but also led to higher milk prices nationwide. The allegations surfaced after an investigation by the Watergate special prosecutor, hinting at systemic corruption within the Nixon administration. Connally's trial was a high-profile event, extensively covered in the media. In his defense, Connally maintained his innocence, famously stating, "I am innocent of any wrongdoing. This will be proven to the satisfaction of any fair-minded person." Ultimately, he was acquitted by a jury, but the scandal left an indelible stain on his public image, reinforcing perceptions of widespread corruption in political circles during the era. Number 4. The Texas Bank Scandal. In the 1980s, Connally faced financial ruin when his Houston-based investment firm, the John Connally & Associates, filed for bankruptcy. He was accused of mismanaging funds and facing lawsuits from investors. The scandal tarnished his legacy and showcased the volatile nature of the financial sector. Connally's financial troubles were a stark contrast to his previous image as a successful businessman and political figure. The scandal left him in financial disarray, leading to a public auction of his possessions to pay off debts. In a dramatic fall from grace, Connally filed for bankruptcy in 1987, declaring a debt of $93 million. His financial collapse was attributed to poor investments in real estate and oil industries. This bankruptcy was particularly shocking given his previous image as a savvy businessman and politician. Number 5. Rumored ties to organized crime. John Connally's rumored connections with organized crime have their roots in his close relationships with several key figures in the business world, some of whom were speculated to have underworld ties. Notably, his association with financier Billy Sol Estes, a Texas businessman convicted of fraud in 1965, sparked significant controversy. Estes had connections that allegedly linked him to organized crime, and by extension, raised suspicions about Connally. These suspicions were fueled further during Connally's tenure as Secretary of the Treasury under President Nixon from 1971 to 1972, a period marked by high-profile corruption scandals. Although FBI investigations delved into the relationships between political figures and organized crime during this era, Connally was never formally implicated. Nevertheless, his name would occasionally surface in confidential informants' reports, which leaked into public discourse, perpetuating his alleged ties to mob figures. Number 6. The attempted assassination plot. The rumored assassination attempt on John Connally was said to have been planned for the late 1960s during his term as governor of Texas, which ran from 1963 to 1969. This period was a politically tumultuous time, with Connally making both allies and enemies through his governance style and policy decisions. According to sources, the plot was orchestrated by a political adversary whose identity remained shrouded in secrecy, often speculated to be a rival within the Democratic Party or an aggrieved business figure. The plan involved two hitmen allegedly hired through third-party intermediaries to ensure the contractor's anonymity. It was purportedly uncovered just days before its planned execution, thanks to a tip-off to state law enforcement by an insider. While the specifics, such as dates and locations, were never confirmed, and no arrests were made, the story lingered in Texas political folklore as an example of the extreme measures some might consider to shift political power. Number 7. The lavish lifestyle and alleged misuse of funds. John Connally was known for his luxurious lifestyle, characterized by custom suits made by Nudicone, high-end cars, and extensive renovations to his expansive South Texas ranch. This lifestyle was funded, critics alleged, by misappropriating campaign funds and political donations. His ranch alone saw around $300,000 in upgrades during the 1970s, coinciding with intense fundraising efforts. Connally consistently denied these claims, asserting that his lifestyle was maintained through legal earnings and consulting fees. Despite his defenses, these allegations tarnished his public image, portraying him as a figure who blurred the lines between personal indulgence and political funding. Number 8. The hunt for Spanish treasure. In the 1980s, John Connally joined an adventurous treasure hunt for a 16th-century Spanish galleon off the Louisiana coast. The operation, replete with historical research and modern salvage technology, aimed to uncover gold but ultimately resulted in the discovery of only minor artifacts. The legal and logistical challenges overshadowed the thrill of the hunt, which ended without significant fines. Though financially fruitless, this venture added a layer of intrigue to Connally's post-political life, showcasing his penchant for high-stakes and unconventional pursuits. Number 9. Role in energy crisis management. During the 1970s energy crisis, John Connally was a key figure in shaping U.S. energy policy, advocating for deregulation and increased oil production. His efforts, aligning with the interests of Texas oil sector, aimed to stabilize energy prices and reduce foreign oil dependency. While his policies supported economic strength and American self-sufficiency, they also faced criticism for favoring oil producers at the expense of environmental concerns. Connally's involvement in energy policy thus remains a complex and controversial part of his legacy. Number 10. The enigmatic persona and final years. In his final years, John Connally maintained an enigmatic persona, giving few interviews and largely avoiding the public eye. He published a memoir, In History's Shadow, which critics noted left many questions unanswered about his controversial career. His personal life during these years was marked by a quiet dedication to his family, including his wife Nellie and their children, John B. Connally III, Sharon Connally Ammon, and Mark Connally. Despite his withdrawal from public life, Connally's involvement in family events and his children's lives showed a softer side rarely seen in his public persona. Connally's life remains a subject of fascination and speculation, with many seeing him as a symbol of the complexities and contradictions of American politics. His death on June 15, 1993, marked the end of an era, but the debates about his legacy continue, with reflections often colored by the scandals that punctuated his career as well as his enduring influence on Texas and national politics.